Tonight, something stirring on the edges of our reality. We begin with a spin and a moment that turns one of humanity's deepest fears into a living question. An event so shocking, so primal, it forces you to rethink what it means to be dead. Then we turn to a case that shakes the foundation of who we are, a situation where something inside a person may not belong entirely to them, and the implications are downright unnerving. From there, we step into a mystery spreading quietly across the globe, people who have never met in places worlds apart, experiencing something in the night that should be impossible to share. And finally, an ancient story hidden for centuries reemerges, and it paints a picture of a figure we all think we know, but in a way that challenges everything we're comfortable believing. Individual stories, strange disturbances in the fabric of the familiar, and tonight we lift the lid on each one of these cases, plus a brand new Upon Further Review. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is our Paranormal 60 News. Good evening, my darklings, and welcome to the program. We are down to just two, count them, two paranormal reporters tonight. Me, your host, Dave Schrader, lead anchor, and right across from me, the paranormal detective himself, Greg Lawson. Good evening, Greg.
Hey, old buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It seems the Colonel and Chachi are out trying to raise money, ringing bells for the Salvation Army. Or they're at a concert. It's one or the other. I'm not quite sure which one it really
Selling
is.
T-shirts.
Probably bootleg T-shirts from the back of their Mercedes. We've got an interesting show tonight. There's only 4 news stories that we're going to focus on. Plus, we do have an Upon Further Review that actually ties into our second story. But this one I thought was an interesting element for you and I to kind of break down these stories, talk a little bit about the primal fears involved in some of the remarkable attributes of these stories, and just how impactful they are. Especially the last one, I think, is really interesting as we're heading into December. This seemed apropos to kind of stir the pot. Let's mix things up a little bit and talk about really weird stuff. So let's launch into what I would say when people ask me, Dave, what really terrifies you? What is the thing that scares you most of all? And above losing my loved ones, this is the exact thing, the scenario that terrifies the living beepers out of me, Greg. Yeah, let's start off with a little nightmare fuel. What have you got for us, sir?
Man, I think this scares a lot of people. I think a lot of people think about it, especially those that are prone to being a little claustrophobic. This story is one part medical miracle and another part the very thing that birthed 1,000 legends of the undead. Whack, rack, prack, hong, thumb.
Bless you. Wait, what was that?
Yeah, Rat Wat Prack Hong Thumb is a quiet Buddhist temple outside of Bangkok. A 65-year-old woman lay in a coffin prepared for cremation. She had been bedridden for about 2 years. She had stopped breathing, and her family believed she was gone. Her brother even drove her across country, hoping to donate her organs before the hospital actually turned him away for lack of a death certificate. So everything.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, come on.
He brings the body to the hospital, and he's like, "My sister's gone. If you could use these parts," and they're like, "No death certificate." Can't they? I don't know. At a hospital, can't they examine the patient
Yeah, I
And
don't
then,
know who wrote this story, Dave. I might not have done my due diligence and
well, you
actually.
didn't write it so much as
Hmm.
it's out there. We've just culled it together, but it's still there's so many weird moving parts to this story. Let's get back to the nightmare aspect.
Yeah, yeah. So he gets turned away because of no death certificate, and
Mm.
everything was set. The rites were arranged, the fire was waiting, and then just as the temple staff were sorting a little bit of paperwork, a knock came from inside the coffin. Not loud, not dramatic, just a soft, persistent tapping. The kind that has haunted human nightmares since the first burial mound was packed with earth, I believe.
Ugh.
When they opened the lid, there she was, alive, trembling, eyes fluttering, fighting her way back from whatever silent darkness she had been floating in. Doctors say she wasn't dead at all. She had slipped into a state of extreme hypoglycemia, blood sugar so low that her breathing, her movement, and even any of her responsiveness became almost imperceptible, apparently imperceptible. Not dead, just hidden behind a biological veil so thin that her brother thought she had crossed over. The temple was paying for her treatment. Social media exploded with a video, her body still, then stirring, then awakening. A real life Lazarus moment caught on camera. But here's the thing, stories like this are the root stock of monster lore. Centuries ago, before medical science, cases like this birthed fears of zombies. People thought dead only to rise again. They inspired tales of vampires, corpses that moved and moaned when exhumed, often just because of natural processes that were misunderstood. Premature burials were so common in the 18th and 19th centuries that coffin safeties were invented with bells and breathing tubes for anyone who woke up underground.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, the old dead ringer thing, right?
right.
Mhm.
Saved by
Yeah.
the Bell.
Say that, say yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh, this Thai woman's ordeal is terrifying, not because it's supernatural, but because it remains and it reminds us that there's a thin line. No, it's okay. All right.
nice cover
Let me
though.
let me crack this up.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
have a sip real quick. Uh
Let me have a little bit of a
huh.
golden pilsner, Dave.
Oh, how
All right.
fancy for you.
So this woman's ordeal is terrifying, not because it was supernatural, but because it reminds us that the line between life and death isn't as solid as we'd like to believe.
Ooh.
Sometimes people linger in the in between, quiet, suspended, waiting for a moment that their body decides to come back online. And every time somebody awakes in a coffin or rises, when all the signs suggest that they were gone, it lights up that ancient primal fear we've carried for thousands of years. What if the dead don't always stay dead? And how many myths started with a knock from the other side of the lid?
Oh.
Hmm? That's what I ask you.
Dude, that is so terrifying. There was a story that came out, I bet it's probably about 10 years now. This one, I literally, after we shared this story, I probably dealt with, and I don't like to use the term PTSD because I feel like that's rooted for people in your field that have served in the military, served in law enforcement, and have seen horrible things. But with my overwhelming fear of death and all that comes with it, when I read this story, it was about an elderly woman who had been brought in. She was pronounced dead. They put her in the morgue. The next morning, they had family come to claim the body. And when they opened the drawer, she had passed away, but not when they thought she did. She had woken up at some point during the night, ended up breaking like both ankles, kicking the door to try to open the door to the freezer. Oh, Greg, the horror of that to me is unfathomable. I can't that just talking about it tonight, I'm probably going to have a hard time going to sleep. That is the worst nightmare fuel for me, to be buried alive or to be thought dead in a situation you can't get out of. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine? They're feeding that coffin into the fire. and you're in there pounding the lid, trying to, oh man, no, thank you.
You know,
Blah, blah.
one way that you can kind of suppress that, get over that sort of thing, is through what's called stress inoculation. So next time I come up and visit, we can get you in the trunk of the car.
No.
And then we'll just keep you. Yeah, you can kick around and stuff in there, but I'm gonna get you out, and there's not gonna be a problem. The car's not gonna catch on fire. It's not gonna actually roll down the hill accidentally and go
Now
into
I'm
the
going to be
lake.
worried about all of those
I know.
things. That's the worst. Oh, there was a story too. This one was heartbreaking. Again, probably about 14 years ago. This little boy had crossed, and the family was holding the funeral. And during the funeral, he sat up in his coffin and started to cry. And he said he was thirsty. And the family was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And they got him a glass of water. He had a couple sips and said he was tired and laid back down and was gone for good.
When did this happen?
Oh, it was about 14 years ago.
He wasn't embalmed. They were just like
No,
sticking him in the ground. No,
not
no.
everybody does that.
Yeah,
There are
that's
certain
true. That's
religions
true.
that don't adhere to that.
Yeah.
That's why I've said I really do think that when my time happens,
Mhm.
I kind of don't put me on ice. Just let me, put me in the living room, in front of the TV. Turn on the most annoying thing you could. If I'm still alive, I'm going to come out of it because I hate bad TV, bad things. I also said, if I'm in a coma, okay, if you were in a coma, what one noise do you believe would bring you out of a coma? And don't give me, oh, the sweet lilting voice of my wife reading to me. I don't want to hear that, Greg. What one noise would really actually
One noise?
bring you out of a coma?
Like aggravate me?
I don't know. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's the sound of children's laughter. Maybe it's the mana song. I don't know. What
Hey,
would that be it? Because I'll come stand by the side of your bed with the boys, and we'll all do the
that
mana
would be
mana
perfect. Yeah, that would be perfect. I
mana
think so.
mana do 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 do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't just randomly do it. Y'all pick your roles and stuff, and let's get
I'm
get
obviously the mana guy. I've got the voice
Yeah.
for it. I don't
Right.
want to brag, but I've been working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something you think, or maybe it's not even a noise, maybe it's a scent. Is there something you think would bring you back from the brink of letting go?
Yeah, that you mean like would wake me up if I'm like
Yeah, if you're in a
I'm
coma. If you're
I'm in a coma.
you're in that
And
gap
that's
between living and dead where anything can happen.
It's gotta be like a smell of cookies. I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Dave, why do you drop these kind of questions on me? You do this all the time to me, and
I
it's
like
like
us to
really in
think.
depth.
I like to engage those synapses in our brain. I know the one thing for me would be an old telephone ringing, that loud.
What kind of phone did you have? What in the world is
Didn't
going
you
on with
have
your
an
phone?
annoying phone like that kind of hung on the wall with like a
Yeah, it
4
didn't
foot
sound
cord?
anything like that. No, it
What?
had a bell in it.
Oh
and
god,
it
yeah, I
rang.
hate that. The whole if you did that and like just put it on repeat for an hour, I guarantee you 2 things are going to happen. 1, I'm going to wake up, and 2, whoever put it in my room, I'm going to beat them to death with that phone. That's 2 promises from your old pal Dave. I really do think that noise, that and there's one other noise, and nobody
Wow,
in the
you got a
last
lot of stuff. A lot of
probably
stuff you're dealing
25
with.
years has probably heard this noise, but you and I did. When you don't hang the phone up quick enough, somebody else has hung up, and you pretend that you're still talking, and then suddenly your phone goes, that horrible sound.
Yeah.
That used to give me nightmares. I was a very sensitive child, Greg, and
Yeah, it sounds like you're dealing with a lot of things,
a
Dave.
lot of telephone problems.
Smells and sounds and
No, smells would be great. If you guys just come in and rub a little like McRib sauce on my lips. If I'm in a coma state, I bet I come out of it for that too. But those are the 2 noises I think, annoyingly enough, would bring me out of the coma. It might even, but don't do this. Listen, Greg, you are a law enforcement official. You were sworn to protect the innocent. If my wife sits in the chair next to me eating crunchy food and I'm in a coma and I can't do anything about it, you have the right to put her in a coma as well. All right? I can't. Oh,
Oh,
I couldn't
wow.
even
Wow.
the crunching. Oh my god.
Really?
I've got that. I can't remember. It's like synesthesia or some. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, the crunching noises, people chewing. I
Mhm.
sat in a movie theater the other day watching Predator Badlands, which may I just say,
Was it great?
oh my god, I would say my favorite Predator movie is the first.
Yeah.
This one is second.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love the Predator and Alien movies. This one just really Trachtenberg, the guy Dan Trachtenberg that's doing the he kind of is in control of the Predator movies right now. He really has a good sense of taking a story and twisting it on its ear.
hmm.
And this movie was really well done. I like it a lot. And it also marries my two favorite franchises, Aliens and Predator, without it being an Aliens versus Predator movie. Weyland Yutani Corporation is part of this movie. It's really remarkable. I would highly recommend the Predator movie, but that's not my upon further review.
Do I need to watch those Predator movies?
You
I
should.
haven't watched those, yeah.
Have you not watched them?
Mm,
Hmm. I'd like your man card back, please. There's a
mm.
pretty strict
Yeah,
rule.
Dave, people are like, "Hey, you gonna go watch Alien movie? You're gonna go watch this movie and that." I live it every day, Dave. I live it every
Fighting
day.
aliens and predators?
You know, depends on how you look at it. Depends
I
on
think
how
I
you
was pretty clear with the way I was looking at it, Greg. Very, very strange.
Well,
Yeah,
all right, well, yeah.
I don't know where I was going with my story
That
to
can be
begin with.
your reality.
Yeah, well, it is. It
That's
is.
that's your truth.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't remember where I was going with the Predator movie.
Yeah,
I
we were
lost
going.
track. I was
It
just
was
so
Badlands.
yeah. I can't remember where else I was going to go with it. My brain is scattered because I'm still thinking about being in the coffin trying to get out. That's horrifying to me. You know
Or
what?
that
Who's the poor son of a bitch who got the job that they're like, Greg, you're the groundskeeper here. Should you hear one of these bells begin to ring, grab a shovel and
start
start
digging.
digging. You only
Yep.
have to dig 6 feet down by 6 feet across. Um, that's all you need to do. So if you could just dig that person up before they run out of air in the coffin, now that they realize that they're buried alive, how many people do you think that if they were in there were ringing that bell? How many people do you think the curator or groundskeeper got to before they?
Yeah, I'd like to know what what the return was on that, on how many people they actually saved because of that bell.
Yeah, probably
That's
none.
what I'd like to know. Probably none.
No.
I wouldn't think.
But anyway, as I was going to say, just lay me out for like, give me that 3 day wake time and
Get you nice and bloated.
yeah, stinky, why not? That's what flowers are for. Flowers and Febreze.
There you go.
Just keep every 40 minutes, just come over and spray me with a little Febreze, Greg, just for the family's sake.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know where I was going with that other story. When I was at the movie, the guy behind me was chewing like a sow, and it took everything, every ounce of self-control to not get up and beat him to death with the liquor she was eating. It was so bad. Oh my god, I'm so that crunchy, sloppy eating sounds, sipping your soup like it's I'm already a grumpy old man and I've only just turned 58.
That, and that has a lot to do with culture too, because sipping and slurping is a sign of respect in certain parts of Asia.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there,
that's
it's
the
expected.
name of my third album, Sipping and Slurping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's get back to it. We got another
Yeah,
story.
please,
This
please.
one's crazy, and I can't wait to get your take on this, Greg. This is pretty amazing. This one comes straight from the intersection of medical science and the supernatural. That that weird crossroads where the living pick traces up of the dead. There's a new report that highlights something doctors have whispered about for years. Organ transplant patients sometimes inheriting the traits, memories, and preferences of the donor, not symbolically, not emotionally, literally. One woman, Allison Conklin, received a heart transplant and woke up a different person. Before surgery, she ate meat. Afterward, she couldn't stomach it. She became a vegetarian overnight. And then came the deja vu, flashes of places she'd never been, moments she had never lived, a sense of someone else's life brushing up against her own. Doctors call this cellular memory. So the idea is that your organs carry more than just blood and tissue. They also store emotional impressions, habits, fears, these kind of fragments of your identity, of who you are. And when that organ becomes part of you, those fragments may surface. So, in a study cited by researchers, nearly 90% of transplant patients reported 90%, Greg, 90% of transplant patients who, let's have a sip on that one. All right. That's words is hard. In a study
Uh,
cited by researchers, nearly 90% of transplant patients reported unexplained changes after surgery, new cravings, new behaviors, new instincts.
wow.
Let's have another sip. Yeah, there we go. New instincts that felt foreign to them. So think about that. If memories and personality traits can hitch a ride in physical organs, then what does that say about consciousness, about the soul, about what remains tethered to our physical form after death? Maybe we've been looking in the wrong direction. Maybe ghosts aren't always out there floating around homes and hallways, knocking on walls. Maybe sometimes they travel with us, inside of us, keeping time with the beat of a borrowed heart. And if the living can inherit pieces of the dead, it raises a chilling possibility. What else can cross over to us? And I think that's an interesting statement because you often think, right? We talk about the blood, sweat, and tears of people that they put into their homes or a battlefield, the ships that they worked on, those aspects. If memory is contained in all of these elements of who we are, that could be what's haunting each and every one of these places. And genetic memory, they're talking about, which makes sense of how an animal comes out and automatically knows what to do and how to do it. It could be that the genetic memory of humanity is just a little bit more dumbed down. It takes us longer to get up and walking and feeding ourselves and doing things. So animals may be a little bit more instinctually connected to that genetic memory, but we may be having those things that we take as a haunting or these strange deja vu flashes, maybe because the memories of our loved ones that have put us here, we're crossing paths with those kinetic electric memories and seeing a doorway, a frame, a house, a something that that living person once walked through.
Yeah. You know, in a person's neural network, yeah, a lot of people think about, all right, so I memorize something, that memory then goes to this part of my brain. If I get this
Right.
part of my brain damaged, then I lose that memory. That's not necessarily how it works. It works more like a Chinese alphabet. While we spell out with a whole bunch of letters a word, Chinese alphabet is a symbol, and that's how a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists are hypothesizing how we remember is it's more like a Chinese symbol. A whole bunch of these neurons are connected together, and boom, I know Dave's face. Boom, I know Marty's face. Boom, I know what Marty's voice sounds like. And it's yeah, exactly like that. It's
Right.
as jaundiced as ever. And you have to remember this neural network that you have in your brain goes down your spine, and all these nerves go into your arms and legs, and there's a huge neural network in your heart. So when you're looking at that and you're looking at what is it, tissue resident memory T cells or whatever they're called, and they actually have memory on how they operate. And then if it's possible, why wouldn't it be possible to store those memories throughout your neural network?
Right.
Because it's all connected. And so, we always refer to love in the heart and all that stuff. Why do we do that? And partially we do that because when we see the one that we love, our heart flutters, our heart increases, that sort of stuff. So it's like, oh, okay, this is a heart thing. This is a love thing. We get exactly. We get an actual physical reaction looking at
Right.
Marty's image there. And so I think it's completely possible that certain memories and things would be stored in our neural network from head to toe.
There's a guy I'm working on to try to get as a guest on here. He talks a lot about NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and things. And one of the things I've noticed in some of his videos online, he talks about how we store memories and things like our fat cells and
Really?
trauma. Yeah, and trauma based moments that could be in us. And he talks about how to release those trauma based memories. And that's why people that are dieting and losing weight sometimes will feel overly emotional and may feel like they have to go back to the food, is because those fat cells are shrinking and they're like milking the fat cells of those traumas, those
Hmm.
memories, which is causing the depression, which you'd think you'd be feeling better losing that weight, when in fact it's triggering these memories. But it's good. You have to purge them out. And that's why a lot of them will say that's why doing it in a sweat, don't just stop eating, you do things physically so that the fat is burning out and it's pushing out the toxins through your skin through sweat. There's just so much about the medical world and the way our physiology and our psychology work together that I think we're still 90% of the planet, I think, is still in its infancy for really understanding this. And Eastern practitioners and other modalities seem to have the understanding of this. And we just need to take the woo woo out of things.
Right.
And
Yep.
like telling me, Dave, your eyes are not changing. You've developed a cataract in the back. That's why your eyes are having trouble focusing. We can do surgery and remove it. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense to me. Scientifically, you're seeing something that's building on the back of my eye. You have to go in and remove that lens, put in a new lens so that I can see. Well, what we're talking about with some of these woo-woo factors is basically the same thing. And when you think about it, somebody telling you, yeah, I'm going to go into your eye and scrape out the lens that's there, and we're going to replace it with, crepe paper or cellophane. I don't know what they put in. I could be wrong.
I think it's cellophane.
Cellophane. Yeah. Then that it's so fascinating to me why we're so easy to push things aside. He also talks about the psychology, a lot about the psychology of illness. And when you feel pain and you feel a dark emotion, it is triggered for a 90-second release. What happens is when it continues to go, you keep allowing that 90 seconds to refresh, refresh,
Right.
refresh.
Right.
Whereas if you kind of count down those 90 seconds and then start to change and think of things that make you happy, McRib sandwich, the giggling of my grandchildren, watching Chachi trip and fall into the water when he's trying to climb on his
So
water
great.
ski. Those
So
things,
great.
bringing those joyful moments to you can actually start to reprogram and retrain the brain. So you allow to have that moment, but then don't let that remain the catalyst that continues to drive who you are. I think it's just so fascinating. There's so many elements of this that like I said, I think we are still so much in our infancy of really understanding what it is that we're dealing with.
And,
And
it's really unfortunate that there's a lot of bureaucrats and there's a lot of insurance people and pharmaceutical people that are driving a lot of what we believe is our psychology now.
right.
They're coming up with all this stuff to inhibit or excite neurotransmitters and all this stuff to make you feel better, make you feel, to calm you down or whatever it might be. And it's the go-to thing now, as far as, doctors. They kind of go down the matrix and go, okay, well, I'm going to prescribe you this because you have this set of symptoms. And that's the thing that really bothers me about the difference between Western psychology and Eastern psychology. As you know, I wanted to be a psychologist until I realized I don't want to hear your problems. And I was like, oh, that's not a good thing for a psychologist.
It's like being a doctor who doesn't like blood.
Yeah, it's just like it's sticky. It stinks. It
So
tastes
gross.
funny. And so, I changed my course, and But the thing that really bothered me is you look at a lot of the classical psychologists and stuff. These new psychologists have just built off of them, and we'll see you next Tuesday. You come in on Tuesday. Hey, how do you feel? What have you been thinking? What have you been doing? Let's relive this thing again. Hey, by the way, hey, it's been 40 minutes, so let's schedule you for next Tuesday. And they just keep doing it and doing it, doing it. And it's really interesting because Eastern psychology, they'll sit you down and listen to your story and ask you questions about your story and everything. And it's 2 hours into it. And then they go, okay, well, this is what happened to you. And this is who you are now. What are we going to do with it?
Right.
This is who you are. You're not going to get this back. You're not going to make it go away. You're not going to make your dad be nice to you when you were a kid or pay attention to you or play football with you. You're not going to get your mom to do whatever it is that you wanted her to do. It's not going to happen. This is who you are. They did things and here you are today. What are you going to do with it? You can stay Western psychology and just complain about it and just blame everything about it.
Which
or you
continues to reprogram the brain to just keep finding the negativity.
Yeah. Or you can say, man, I'm going to take this lesson, and who would be the best people that would actually care and listen, and I can maybe help out. And I'll take that lesson to them. It's really funny when I'm teaching in my law enforcement peace officer class. It's so funny because the students will every once in a while, Professor Lawson, are you ever going to tell us a good story? I'm like, no, every one of them is going to be a train wreck. Everything that I learned from was a train wreck. It was tears, crying, screaming, horrible. Don't go there. I can show you how not to get there. As opposed to just, I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim.
Right.
No, I'm not a victim. People say, well, you did 32 years law enforcement. It's funny. You look at the statistics. A normal person goes through anywhere from 3 to 7 critical incidents in their life, major critical incidents.
Mm-hmm.
An average police officer goes nearly 200. And that's if you're kind of just an average guy, you answer your calls and you do your thing. But the guys that actually go out and do things or work special operations or whatever, you can magnify that 2 or 3 times. People like you have you have to have PTSD. And it's like, I don't have PTSD. I give PTSD.
Look at you. You've rerouted that neuro-linguistic property.
That's right. That's
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll do an upon further review that kind of ties into our past stories. So stay tuned. We've got more to discuss. This is your home for all things strange and supernatural. I'm Dave Schrader, and this is a Paranormal 60 News. My darklings, in my house, I'm the one who's impossible to shop for every birthday, every holiday. My wife and kids are always asking, what do you want this year? And they never know the right answer to tell them. But this year I knew exactly what I wanted for my birthday. I told them, get me Cozy Earth, and they did. And let me tell you, these are the best pajamas I've ever owned. Hands down, this isn't some sales pitch. This is me, your Darkling leader, telling you that if you want the most comfortable set of pajamas you've ever worn, that bamboo pajama set made from viscose from bamboo. It drapes perfectly, sleeps cooler than cotton, which is great for a heavy, hot sleeper like I am, and it feels like something you should only be allowed to wear on vacation. I put them on once and immediately thought, well, this is it. This is what I'm wearing for the rest of my life. But the real game changer, the bubble cuddle blanket. And Darklings, I'm going to tell you again, hands down, the most amazing, soft, warm, comfortable blanket. It's the perfect weight that just settles over you. And I genuinely don't need another blanket ever again, unless it's another bubble cuddle blanket. My family keeps trying to steal it, which tells you everything you need to know. And here's the best part. Cozy Earth backs this comfort with up to a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. Who else does that? Nobody. That's who else. So if you've got someone hard to shop for, or maybe you are that someone hard to shop for, this is your moment. Black Friday through Cyber Monday, Cozy Earth is giving you 40% off. at CozyEarth.com with my code P60. It's their best deal of the year. Again, get 40% off Black Friday through Cyber Monday at CozyEarth.com with my code P60. And if you get that post-purchase survey, tell them you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Paranormal 60. Wrap the ones you love and yourself in luxury with Cozy Earth.
Hey, beautiful souls. Winnie Schrader here from Love and Lotus Tarot, your guide through the energy shifts, emotional waves, and the cosmic chaos we've all been feeling lately. I mean, let's be real for a second. The world feels loud right now, right? There's so much noise, so much tension, so much uncertainty. Between the news, social media, and just trying to keep up with life, it's easy to feel like you're stuck on this never-ending roller coaster that just won't slow down. But here's the thing. Even though we can't control the outside chaos, we can learn to navigate through it. And that's where I come in. I mean, lately, have you been feeling like everything is happening to you instead of for you? Are you finding it hard to stay grounded when everyone seems just as ungrounded as you are? Or maybe you've been questioning your direction, wondering if the path you are on still aligns with who you are becoming. If any of this hits home, this is for you. It's like we're all trying to move forward, but the universe keeps throwing us stupid curveballs. But here's your reminder, you are not powerless. So all you got to do is reach out and book a reading with me today so I can help you navigate through those troubled waters and gain back control of your life. You can book a reading today. Just visit me at lovelotustarot.com. Again, book a reading with me today at lovelotustarot.com.
And it's that time of year. If you've got somebody that's hard to buy for on your list, get them a reading with Winnie Schrader from Love and Lotus Tarot. You'll find more at loveandlotustarot.com.
It's time now for Upon Further Review.
All right, we just did a really interesting news story that talked about this woman who had a heart transplant. And when she awoke, she was having memories, thoughts, desires, things just like the person whose heart she had received. And that's, I think, a really fascinating story and tells you so much more about where consciousness, ideals, and really where we live is in all of what we are and how those genetic memories can be shared. There was a movie that came out, boy, and it's probably 20 years old now. It's hard to believe. David Duchovny from the X-Files and Minnie Driver star in this movie. It is absolutely beautiful. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I'd rather just show you. Let's take a look at the trailer, because if you're looking for something to do this weekend, folks, then I would highly suggest going over to TUBI TV and watching Return to Me.
Look, I don't see what the big deal is. I mean, she had a heart transplant. I went with a girl once that had a club foot. I mean, she had the big shoe and everything.
Grace, come on. You can hardly see it anymore.
I just don't like all the questions, you know?
No one's going to notice your chest. You're not married, then, huh?
No, she passed away.
This is my friend, Bob. His wife is dead.
Hey, Robert! How are you?
Joe went and invited somebody over here like a blind date for you.
I already told him you've had some work done.
Thank God she's not a Buick.
He's a terrific guy. In fact, he had a transplant, too.
Well, I'm still in a little pain, but look how natural it looks. Go ahead, give it a tug.
Oh, that's okay.
I got somebody for you. Oh, Charlie, no.
She's got a great body.
I think your ass is ringing.
Do we know each other?
Think so. Oh my God. Blah, 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 blah.
Here, Robert, I want you to meet my granddaughter, Gracie, here. Isn't she lovely?
Would you go out with me?
Yes?
Is that a question?
I met someone. I just wanted to tell you.
Lovebirds out there. Let's play some Frankie Sinatra.
Is it an earthquake or simply a shock?
I don't know what to wear. Whatever you do, don't shave your legs. Why? Then you definitely won't let it go too far.
Hey, how do I look?
Tall.
Tall.
Is it a cocktail?
This is a game that all women play just to reel us in.
Hey, kids! Sammy Sosa!
But I feel the real
You're just gonna tell him.
Oh, how do I tell him?
You just, Bob, you know, I
had a heart-warming dream about you.
Oh, who died?
Bob, why?
He's married?
Joe, maybe you should put on a shirt or Grace will never be satisfied by another man.
You like that one?
Return to Me. You can watch it for free on Tubi TV. Honestly, this is a feel-good movie. If you're looking for something in between football games, before football games, after football games, tomorrow for Thanksgiving, or this weekend, I cannot encourage you enough. It's a beautiful movie with a great little supernatural twinge to it. Plus, everybody is so beautifully cast in this movie. See, Archie Bunker, Carol O'Connor plays Minnie Driver's father. Robert Loggia is in this. David Duchovny. You got Jim Belushi. It's Laura Linney. It's such a good movie. Just check it out. I would say on a scale of 1 Phantom, it's not worth watching, to 5 Phantoms, I give this movie the very rare full 5 Phantoms. I think you're going to absolutely love it. Have you ever seen that movie, Greg?
Oh man, Return to Me. It could have been shot in like 1955, like it's a Doris Day or Jimmy Stewart thing. But it was made like in 2000 with Minnie Driver and David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And he stars as Bob. As
Don't worry, buddy. I didn't
That-
ask you to watch this movie, so you're not on the hook for having to give a review. I just wondered if you'd actually ever seen it.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
She's Elizabeth, works at Lincoln Zoo, and just the way they kind of
Stop reading off the
meat-
back of the card.
the meat
Let's
cute.
just get to it. We got another news story, and this one
Meat
falls
cute.
on the shoulders of the paranormal detective himself,
Wow.
and maybe he can
right.
dig his way out of a hole with this one. All right, what have we got next, Greg?
Oh, I see what you did. Dig his way out of a hole with this one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
That was a
thanks.
good one. All right. So actually, this next story is creeping neurologists out, not because it's paranormal, but because it shouldn't be happening. There's been multiple reports this past week describing bizarre phenomenon popping up across online forums, sleep labs, and even in clinical cases. And they note that groups of people are experiencing the same dream at the same time. Not similar dreams, Dave. The same dream. A short roundup from a paranormal tracking publication highlighted clusters of cases where strangers, people with no connection, with no shared trauma, no shared geography, described identical dream sequences down to the same details, the same abandoned hallway, the same low frequency hum, the same figure at the end of a long corridor, and the same sense of being pulled towards something unseen. Neurologists reviewing the report say there's no current model of sleep or memory that explains synchronized dreaming amongst unrelated people. Dreams are supposed to be personal, isolated, and shaped by your own stress, memories, or imagination. But in these cases, they don't fit that mold at all, not even close. Even a few witnesses described waking up at the same moment in the dream, the moment they figured, oh my God,
Words is hard, so is reading.
the moment the figure turned around and looked at them. One woman in Ohio said she woke screaming at 3:42 a.m. A man in Ireland posted that he bolted awake at exactly what? 3:42 a.m. Another in Vancouver said his dog started barking at 3:42 a.m. Right as he snapped upright in bed, heart racing after seeing the same corridor and the same dark silhouette. Different continents, different lives, but the same dream and the same timestamp. Researchers studying collective consciousness admit they're intrigued. Some believe it could hint at a deeper connection substrate in the human mind, something Carl Jung called the collective unconscious. Others suggest a possible environmental trigger like a shared frequency or disturbance that we don't yet have instruments to detect. But to those of us living in the paranormal world, these echoes the stories we've heard for decades. People receiving messages in dreams at the same time, families connecting across distances in their sleep, nightmares shared by entire groups before major events happen, and yes, the lore of dream walkers, shadow beings, and entities that don't respect borders or bodies. If something or someone can slip into more than one dream at a time, if consciousness can sync up across vast distances, then maybe sleep isn't as safe as a little bubble and we pretend that it is. I don't know what I just said. Maybe dreaming is a shared hallway. Sometimes something else is standing in it with us. Back to you, Dave.
If any of you have ever had a shared dream, you dream about a friend or a relative and then bring it up to them casually in conversation a day or two later, has anyone ever related back to you that they had the same dream from their perspective, that they saw you in their dream, that you did interact? I'd love to hear from you. Dave at paranormal60.com. Dave at paranormal60.com. Send me your stories. I might share it on an upcoming episode, but that fascinates me. I love, since we're kind of on a movie kick as well, the movie Dreamscape was and it remains one of my favorite movies. Even though you watch it now and some of the special effects are a little hinky, it is such a beautifully done movie and really gets into the psyche of it, the zeitgeist of all the things that we're terrified of and our nightmares and how they can be reflected upon who we are and how we deal with it. Of course, Freddy Krueger, you know, those dream nightmare movies, those really up the ante when it came to that. But I'm curious how many people are sharing dreams out there and they don't think to talk to their friends about it. You know, they have a dream about somebody that they love that is very much alive. And do they ever share that wealth of information back and forth to see if anybody has a collective memory? If you haven't, try it. If you have a specific dream, especially one that seems a little bit more deeply entrenched, a little bit more aware, like, you know, if I dreamt of Greg tonight and we had a conversation, I'm going to do my very best to memorize what happened in that dream, take it back with me, and then talk to my friend about it. That shows, I think, just how powerful our cognitive ability is and how the waking moments, Greg, may be what's polluting us from being able to, you know, kind of excel or evolve, because we're so limited by the scope of our beliefs or what we're told can happen, that in the dream realm, we're able to expose and be a part of a bigger tapestry. And I wonder if we, you know, is that something that we can do in a waking moment as well?
Well, it's funny because Buddhists and specifically Buddhist priests that I spoke with when I was,
I love that band, Buddhist Priest. Yeah.
Buddhist priest, yeah. That I spoke with when I was over in Hong Kong, they find it really interesting how the Westerners don't pay attention to their sleep. And that is as important to a Buddhist as their waking day, is their interpretations of their dreams, because, you know, you can manipulate your dreams and create peace and also take these imagery and this imagery and look at it and try to interpret it. You know, one of the big collective thought or collective dreams that happen. So I'm going to back up. One of the unfortunate things is people don't share their dreams very often.
Right.
But they will after something major happens. So they wake up and a catastrophe happens. They go, oh my God, last night I dreamt that Mount Pinatubo was going to blow up, right? You kill all those people. One of the ones that was probably the most studies is the Aberfan one over there in the UK, where the coal mine dumped onto the town and killed like 110 kids and probably about 20 adults. And that following couple of days, multiple people came forward saying that they had these dreams that this was going to collapse. It's called a coal tip. It was above the town, and they were digging in the mountain, and they would take all of the slag and everything and just pile it up there. Well, it got so piled up that when it rained, it became really soft, and it just came down and killed all those children. And that's something that we or you should probably look at next time you go over to the UK for a tour, is to go to Aberfan. That would be an amazing place. There's a huge memorial there with all the kids. They all have the same grave markers. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
But that's a huge one.
Tragic, right? There are so many elements to our consciousness that we don't understand. Messages that we receive that we call precognition. And I just did a big talk and a big show on that this past Sunday on my radio show, Paranormal 360. So if you don't know about that show yet, folks,
wow,
wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, go look Paranormal 360. You'll find my other show. It comes out every Sunday live on WCCO radio, and then it's immediately released as a podcast, and it is 2 35-minute hours, if you will. When they remove all the commercials, all of the PSAs and news, each hour is only 35 minutes long, so you're not committing to any major new program, but I think you'll enjoy it. But we did a lot of talk about precognition and the whole concept of what's going on. And man, I just wish we could find a way to elevate ourselves to stimulate that ability to communicate and be more cognizant and empathetic to one another. I mean, I think if we, obviously there's limitations to it. You don't want people knowing everything that crosses your mind.
No, of course.
But boy, if there was a way we could train ourselves to send loving thoughts and memories to people, when we're seeing a friend that we care about, and we see that they're struggling and they've posted something on social media, how beautiful would that be, that instead of just typing something that always feels so banal and, is just words cluttering up a space, if we were able to just take a deep breath and focus, and maybe we should just start trying this anyway. When you see somebody that's in that place of pain, instead of just reaching out and letting them know you're thinking about them, although you can, because now you're setting that trigger, start sending them happy thoughts and memories. Start thinking of the fondest moments you have with that person, moments when you've laughed the hardest you've ever laughed together, or you've shared those things, and see if that starts to impact somebody, and see if they start to feel that vibe. Maybe even reach out to them later and say, when I posted today, Greg, that I saw you were struggling and I was thinking about you. I was really thinking about you. And it was about 3:00 this afternoon. I was just sending you some love and positive thoughts and memories. And, did you feel anything? And don't lie about it, folks. Don't do that, but be keyed into those moments now. Maybe we can start to help each other telepathically. There's no harm in it, right? Sending out those empathetic waves of love.
And in these kind of experiences where we're, let's say, having these dreams or these collective thoughts and stuff like that, you can, I could recommend a book to you, and you read that book, and it would explain a lot. It's called Messages for Mothman. It's, and it's
really,
it's a rare book, but it's, interpretations of precognition and that sort of thing. So.
Very cool. Yeah, I happen to know the author. He's a great guy and is a remarkable writer. It is Greg Lawson, folks. If you haven't already heard about his book, go check out Messages from Mothman. I want to thank Alonzo for Greg Thanos Lawson's drink fund. He's kicked $4.99 our way. We've got Mark New through $10 at us. Fund towards Dave's therapy sessions after tonight's show. Thank you. I'm going to need them, and I do appreciate it. And I want to give thanks right now for all the people that tune into the show, that take a moment to give it a thumbs up, to write the kind comments that they put down, even those that take the time just to write something that maybe they disagree with or don't like about the show, because I do read those, and I do take them into effect to see if we can find better ways to deliver these messages and these shows to you. So I do appreciate that. And for those of you that go the extra mile and make a donation towards us in the show, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But most importantly, just thank you for taking this journey with us all the time. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. This one's a big story, and not a lot of people are familiar with this. We're going to go back in time over 2,000 years and talk about a historic figure who, again, has history whitewashed some of the truth of these stories. We'll talk about that when we return right here to the Paranormal 60 News.
Hello, Darklings and my fellow mind travelers. This is Mark Allen Lanou, the Gemini Mind. Come take a journey with me through this place we call life by picking up a copy of my book, Reality Was Once the Tapestry of the Dreamer. Available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon online. You can find the links also on my website, markallenlanou.com. Chock full of stories about organized crime, the paranormal, my music career, NASA, and more. So go pick up your copy, and you all rock. Indeed.
All right, we're back. Now, I'm going to just be open with you. This could be triggering. It deals with religion and the Christian faith. So I'm giving you that heads up. But I think it's a fascinating element to the story that I wanted to discuss. Again, I don't think a lot of people are aware of this. And I know some are going to say it's heretical or blasphemous. But bear with me as we share the story, because it is pretty fascinating. There's a lot of buzz going on right now about the lost childhood stories of Jesus. Not the mellow carpenter's son from Sunday school, but a wild, volatile child full of miracles and sometimes sudden outbursts of terrifying anger. The document in question is the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, an ancient text dates back nearly 1900 years, whose tales of young Jesus were never included in the official canonical scriptures. According to modern write-ups, this gospel doesn't just show miracles. It shows a kid shape-shifting clay into birds, resurrecting the injured, turning water into wheat, but also cursing a child to death, blinding those who insulted him, and wielding power with rage, not with mercy. Now, the early church rejected this book for pretty open reasons. It was branded heretical, too raw, too chaotic, too human. The clean, righteous image of Jesus, the gentle healer and teacher, was carefully preserved. But here's where it really starts to get interesting and where reality starts to smell strangely like legend. Because when you look at what his forgotten gospel describes, a being with godlike power, acting unpredictable and dangerous as a child, and it stirs up every ancient myth of the uncanny. The monster child with power beyond comprehension, the unpredictable entity who could heal or destroy depending on its mood, and a being neither fully human nor fully divine who's straddling that border between the two worlds. Now, legend and folklore have always been drawn to that border. Stories of demon children, of changelings, of cursed bloodlines, they all circle the idea of power that doesn't belong, of consciousness that is so potent that it upends the rules of mortal life. And what if tales like the Infancy Gospel of Thomas were one of humanity's earliest attempts to record something so strange, so terrifying, that the mind instinctively tried to push it away? Maybe the legends of vampires, demons, or the other children of the night don't come from nowhere. Maybe they did evolve from whispers of beings who looked human, but they acted wrong. Beings whose power flickered between creation and ruination. And if a being like this could exist, what does that say about our myths, our nightmares, our very own fears? Because when you combine the miracle maker and the monster child, you get a portrait of divinity and horror so close that it becomes terrifying. And this isn't just theology. This might be the skeleton in the closet of every folklore that's haunted humanity since we sat around campfires and told stories about what lurks in those shadows. They wrote the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, and maybe, just maybe, it's the origin story of fear itself. Now, I know that there are a lot of you that have already began to push that idea away and don't want to hear about it, but I submit, if you read the Bible from cover to cover, from Old Testament to New Testament, is he any different than God of the Old Testament? A God who in his infancy created these things and was vindictive and jealous, and there shall be no other gods before me, admitting that there are other gods, but I'm the one that you need to worship. I'm the one that you need to give the attention to. And throughout the Old Testament, that God was very vindictive. He was very challenging in many ways. And it doesn't always, and I don't think I'm just reading between the lines here. I've heard other theologists talk about the dogma of what religion is, but how people look past the negative elements of it and just focus on what they believe are the positives. But I also submit that in the New Testament, God has turned the other cheek. He has taken the form of humanity. Now, if you have given a child the ability, this godlike ability to walk amongst men, how would that child know what good or bad is? You watch your children and your grandchildren, your nephews and nieces, and when they don't get something they want, you see that seething, roiling anger that seemingly comes out of nowhere, right? And imagine if you had the power but didn't realize that the power you wield could be so unwieldy and so devastating. And I really think that, we shouldn't just summarily dismiss stories like this. There are so many books of the Bible that are not considered canonical, but yet the Bible refers to different books that carry these stories, that hold this subtext. It's as though the ancients, the people that put the Bible together, wanted to cull together a story, but also wanted to give us echoes of the past that we shouldn't forget, that there are other elements of this. And I, being a nerd, love superhero movies. I really love the Henry Cavill Superman because I liked that it was a little bit darker than the normal Superman stories. And I think the evolution, had it been able to continue into more movies, you would have seen the way Superman changed. People were very upset with the fact that Superman killed General Zod. Spoiler alert. But it was in the heat of battle, in a moment when, if he didn't stop this creature, it was going to kill an innocent family. And so many of the purists would shake their finger and say, he would never kill. He would never do this. But how do you not, how do I say this? How do you commit to something without ever having known what it means to make that commitment? I always saw that moment when he broke Zod's neck and took his life, that became the birth of the humanity of Superman. Because then he realized what that incredible responsibility was on his shoulders, to see what happens. That his story, I mean, obviously the house of El, the Elohim from the Bible and Jewish doctrine and such, it's no mistake that they leaned into that part of mythos in religion. But I think that there's a lot of these things that, even as a living God, as we give Jesus credit for, there had to be mistakes around. There had to be things. And just being human, even if he was only half human, there are still those elements of humanity, the anger, the jealousy, the rage, the pettiness. And we've all had those thoughts cross our mind. But we're not perfect, Dave. We're not perfect like God. Well, God wasn't perfect in the beginning either. It was a learning experience for him and for his son walking the earth that gave him more of a completist version of the God. And that, again, I think you could easily look around the world and say, we do have free will. We do have that gift, but do these children that are passing from cancer and other tragedies, was that their free will? Well, no, but it was the free will of the people that took those lives. Right. But then that kind of betrays the concept of free will. It's such a deeper conversation. And I don't think it's one that should be ignored just because it's uncomfortable. Because I think that in those moments of tragedy is where lessons are truly learned. And Jesus wielding this power as a child and seeing the effect and impact, that it's not just stepping on an insignificant ant that nobody will ever notice. What are the butterfly effects? What are the effects that take place when something is done in a moment of rage? People might have learned more from this, that you can be bad. You can be flawed and still find your way through the mists, right? I mean, in the end story, as Christ finds himself nailed to a crucifix amongst the thieves and villains, he talks to these thieves and villains and says, forgive them, right? And forgive the people that have put him here, for they don't know what they're doing. Now they've got the blood on their hands. The people that are hanging amongst him and seeing and coming to realization of what this is, that's where the lessons lie. I think that sometimes the dogma of religion and all sects seems to forget that we have to show an evolution. It's the hero's journey, and that's why stories are so popular with the reluctant hero, the person drawn in that didn't expect to be that person, and how they come to be. And that's what I think is so empowering about stories like this, and I think should be told responsibly.
And as you said, the canonical Bible stories, I think it was a Council of Carthage, where they decided what was going to be in there, what was not. And there was a couple of other popes that pulled some stuff out. But it's interesting on how the ones that they did, the canonical stories, the canonical letters and all of that, will refer to these little things in these other books. And in those other books, the Book of Enoch, and a huge amount of information there that is just teased a little bit in the Old Testament, and they don't talk any of it. But Lena mentioned there in the chat the Good Life at the Twilight Zone. It's kind of reminiscent on that of the little 6-year-old boy,
right?
That knows your thoughts and everything, and everybody should be thinking good thoughts. And so, yeah.
Did you know that they did a sequel to that episode in the 90s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that Billy Mooney, who played the little boy,
it was great,
is in it. Great. And his daughter plays his daughter in that episode.
Oh, really?
It's still A Wonderful Life or whatever. The sequel's out there. I literally was 58 years old a week ago. I found out that there was a sequel to it. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's great. Actually, I really liked it.
Right.
You want me to tell you about it? You want me to tell you about it?
No, I don't want you reading off of the book. Mark Lanou says, we are the dark and the light. Dark is nothing more than the void of light. So let your light shine, darklings. That is true. I don't want to push religious bits. And it's funny that people will tune into the show to talk about fairy folk and Bigfoot and demons and ghosts and Ouija boards and dream interpretation. But anytime religion comes in, I get messages. Oh, I'm throwing my hands. I didn't tune into the show to hear a religious discussion. All of this plays into a form of religion, one way, shape, or another. I mean, a lot of these things are indoctrinated in the Bible. These beings, these characters, these things, these shadows of who we are, and the mysteries, the greater mysteries, right? I think even in statements that are made like, don't worry about the future because you can't control it, and don't worry about the past because it's gone, be in the present. That's the powerful lessons that we need to learn. And it's okay to be here now and learn the things that we learned in the past. I think if more people took time to realize that there's been negativity and then goodness that comes from it. There have been things, I mean, I've brought this up before, but John Walsh lost his child in one of the most traumatic and horrendous ways.
Can't even imagine.
Had that happened to me, I would have, I think, probably collapsed and been no longer among the living. And you say, well, what good could come from that? A warrior was born, a warrior of justice and a warrior of good, who simply set out to make sure that he would try to save as many people as he could from the trauma and the pain that he felt and for what happened to his son. So there is good that comes from this. Michael J. Fox, one of the most beloved actors and personalities of the last 40 years. And what good comes from his Parkinson's? How about the fact that it took somebody raising the awareness to realize what it is and get money in so that Parkinson's treatment is evolving and changing? There are silver linings in a lot of these clouds, and we can always remain focused on the negativity. We can always remain focused on the horror of the thing at hand, but what are the deeper ramifications of these moments? And I think those moments need to be paid attention to as well. I can't answer as to why some prayers are heard and others are not, but I can answer to the fact that I pray that the people that have had those prayers answered do something good with it, that they don't just look a gift horse in the mouth and just live life like they would any other day. But that's my take. I could be wrong. Cool conversations tonight. I've enjoyed talking with you, Greg, and being able to discuss things a little bit more deeply. There were some good stories as we go into Thanksgiving, right? Good opportunity for people to discuss and talk and just open their minds and expand their consciousness to these possibilities that are out there. You have any big plans for Thanksgiving?
No, we're gonna go down to San Antonio and see Lynn's dad and his family and her family, and that's pretty much it. We're just gonna probably watch some football, I guess, and just and eat copious
like
amounts of
pretty good
stuff.
plan.
Yeah, I'm gonna dress up as a turkey for about an hour in the morning, but that's about it.
All right. Well, whatever works. And Greg and I talked about this off air at the beginning of the show. We are both in a sadly unique position of not having the family around us that we once had. And this is, I just turned 58. It's the first birthday I've ever had without one of my parents there to celebrate with me. This is my first Thanksgiving without both of my parents, without having my dad there to come eat and tell stupid jokes and have a good time. It's a very strange place, but instead of leaning into the melancholy of the moment, I'm going to spend tomorrow thankful for the days and the years that we had together and all the beautiful memories that we created and the fun times. And I'll be home alone tomorrow in Illinois at my father's home, separated from my family, but not separated from the love that we feel for one another. And I'll let that be what I hang my hat and heart on tomorrow. And I hope for all of you out there that are struggling right now and feel this loss as well, and I know there are many of you, I hope that you'll fill those mind memories with the happiest thoughts you can and send them to that loved one that's gone so that they know they're not forgotten, they're loved, and that they meant something, that their lives here meant something to you. And I think that's an important bit. And from my heart to Greg and to Chachi and to the Colonel, I love you guys. I'm so thankful for our friendship. And to Pancho and Lefty, who aren't here with us, our two other friends who we're going to try to get involved in the show from time to time. It's in the moments like we shared a few weeks ago, right? That's what giving thanks is about, for having those moments of camaraderie. And it's not always easy, but find those moments and embrace them.
I needed that really bad.
Yeah, I think we all did, buddy. Well, thank you, Greg. Thank you all for tuning in and being a part of the show with us this evening. And what we covered tonight, these aren't just odd, headlines. They're the reminders that reality has corners we haven't walked yet. That every mystery is just an invitation, not to fear the dark, but to explore it. So keep your eyes open, your mind open, and most importantly, your heart open. And remember, the strangest part of this existence is how much of it we still haven't experienced. And I hope the darkness of this world is just a little brighter with the information that we share here each week on your Paranormal 60 News.